Oh yeah. Is it Tuesday already? Do we only have one more week until this Acolyte show begins? Wow, we got a lot to get into today. We got character descriptions for Acolyte characters, and we got this massive reveal for two major characters in this upcoming show. And George Lucas was at a festival over the weekend receiving an award, but he talked about Star Wars. And we got to talk about that and Andor Season 2 news. We got an insane amount to get into in just a very short amount of time. So what's up, everybody? We got a lot to get into here. From Andor Season 2 to The Acolyte, which is only in 7 days, in exactly 1 week from today, we'll be watching the premiere 2 episodes of The Acolyte. And George Lucas talking about Star Wars doesn't get much better than that. So we got a lot to get into today. A lot to get into today. So without further ado, how we doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What's up, chat? How we doing? Let me open up the chat so we can say hi to everybody. Let's say hi to everybody. Okay, let's open up this chat. Star Wars Bros, what is up? Brandon Baker, how we doing? Fearless, what is up? Jack, what is up? Master Beckham in the building. Mando United, how we doing? Maria, what's up? Soul, how we doing? Tiffany, what is up? Okay. All right, if I missed you guys, Shadow, how we doing? E-Shadow, how we doing? Van Gogh, what is up? Okay, if I missed you guys, just yell at me in the chat. We got a lot to get into, so we got to get into it quickly because we only have about 2 hours today on the show, as we usually do. So we got to get into all of this. We got character descriptions for certain characters in the Acolyte show, and we got a massive reveal about the witches that we've been speculating about, whether they're Night Sisters or not, whether they're important to the story or not. We've been trying to piece together the story of what's going on in the Acolyte for the last 3-4 weeks, and we've gotten pretty close. I think we've done pretty well so far. But we got to keep it going, and we got some massive news about those witches, so to speak, and we got a pretty big character description from this interview from Empire Magazine about Jecki, who's played by Daphne Keen's character. We got a lot to get into. Nemoidians? Newt Gunray? Did somebody say Newt Gunray? Yeah, that's a lot to get into. So let's start with the Acolyte. I know if you haven't smashed a freaking like on this video yet, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Smash a like on this video, but I'm ending the poll about it. B-Man, how we doing? Okay. Let's start with this poll, okay? Let's start with this poll. This is probably the last time we're ever going to do this poll, if we're being honest, and fast forward to when I do this poll again. But this might be the last time we ever do this poll. Are you excited? Well, that's not how you spell excited. Excited for the Acolyte? Yes or no? Simple, easy poll for all of you guys to understand. It's a yes or no question. Are you excited for the Acolyte? Now, with only 1 week to go, I'm extremely intrigued to see how this poll pans out. Are we excited for the Acolyte show? Yes or no? Let's see it. Let's see it. So on Saturday's stream, which was our last stream, which feels like years ago now, we talked about the reviews for the Acolyte, the first ever reviews. After the red carpet premiere was late last week, we talked about the reviews that came out from that. After the social embargo was lifted, we talked about all those reviews that came out. We read like probably 20 or 15 to 20 of those reviews, and almost every single one of them was extremely positive, talking extremely highly about this show, the choreography, the acting, and just the show itself, the new world that we're going into 100 years before The Phantom Menace. So it was very cool to see a lot of very positive reviews when it comes to this show, because a lot of fans are very hesitant when it comes to this Acolyte show for one reason or another. I don't know why. Well, I kind of do know why. But when you watch every single one of these trailers, I don't know how it doesn't get you as hyped as it does for me. And yes, we're wearing a Grogu shirt today for no reason at all, but we are drinking out of the Ahsoka mug today for a specific reason, but we'll get to that. We'll get to it at some point later. Okay, let's start with the Acolyte. All right, chat, how we doing today? Star Wars Bro says, hello. Do you think Yoda will be in the Acolyte? I do. I do think Yoda will be in this Acolyte show. Tell me in the chat. Give me a 1 into the chat if you think Yoda, Master Yoda, will be in the Acolyte show. He would be about 700 years old. He would, of course, still be with the Jedi, and it would make sense for him to be in this show. So give me a 1 into the chat if you think Yoda will be in the show. Give me a 2 if you're like, no, he probably won't be. I think it won't be a big role. I don't think he's playing a main role in this show, but he will probably make an appearance. If I were a betting man, I would probably bet on Yoda being in this show. Yeah, I definitely would. I would, for sure. And I do see a bunch of 1s. So I think you guys agree. I think you agree. Yeah, exactly. I would say most likely, yes, Yoda will be in it. For sure. Yeah. If you watch the interview with Carrie-Anne Moss, they show a fight between May and Indara like the full clip. Yeah, we watched that, I think, last stream. If I am not mistaken. Ooh, witches? I think that Wookiee is involved with the witches cult, hence he's attacking Master Soul. I think there's a different reason. I don't think he's involved with the witches, but there is an interesting thing about that character of Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi from the trailers, that needs to be explained, and there is actually an explanation that might be revealed very, very soon. Yeah. Okay. Jack says, can you watch the interview with Carrie-Anne Moss on Good Morning America? Oh, maybe I didn't see that one. It shows the full clip of Master Indara versus May. Well, we did watch the full clip of Master Indara versus May, but we didn't watch the Good Morning America interview. We could definitely do that. Where are these droidicas? Yes, so let's talk about Neimoidians. No, hang on. Let's not talk about Neimoidians yet. We'll get to the Neimoidians. I'm all over the place today. Let's start with the character descriptions, okay? Let's start with the character descriptions! Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with this. Before we get way too off topic, as we always do here, let's start with these character descriptions. Okay. This is coming from, of course, Star Wars themselves. And these are character descriptions for the Acolyte show. So first we start off with Master Soul, and it just gets more and more interesting as we go through here. So Master Soul is pretty low-key, pretty what we thought we were going to get. Master Soul is a wise, highly respected Jedi Master, strong in the ways of the Force, still, and stalwart. Soul has a deep sense of compassion and will defend those who cannot defend themselves. He's a powerful warrior with intense emotions that he uses his Jedi training to balance. Oh, okay. So that's actually pretty interesting. He has very strong emotions. We've seen that be a problem when it comes to Jedi, Anakin Skywalker, and some others in the past, but Anakin is probably the most prevalent of them all. He is the chosen one, and his emotions get the better of him, and that's why he turns to the dark side. So just a very brief description of Soul. He's probably this is what we thought Soul was going to be. I think Master Soul is probably going to be a fan favorite character coming out of this. Li Zhang-Chia is just a great actor in general, and I think people are just going to fall in love with his character. I think he's a very Qui-Gon-esque Jedi, and I think that's going to be revealed in this show. But we do have other character descriptions here, so let's get on. Let's get on with it. So we got Master Indara next, and as you guys all know, I think she's going to die in the very first episode. I think she's going to be a goner, and I think she will appear in episodes after, not saying that she's going to come back to life like somehow Palpatine returns, but I think she will be in some sort of flashback sequences, to say the least, in the upcoming episodes after the first one when she dies. But that's just my theory. So this is her description. Master Indara. Master Indara is a Jedi Master of great physical and mental skills, which is very important because she's probably going to die in the first episode. And if she's of great physical and mental skills with the Force, that means May, our main character, is going to be extremely powerful because she's able to defeat her. She has exacting control of her Force abilities, exuding a sense of command and authority with just her presence. Again, this might be from flashback stuffs. Yeah. Though she does not seek combat, she is skilled enough to engage on her own terms. So she doesn't seek combat, but she's able to, of course, fight. So she's more of a peaceful Jedi than Soul might even be. So now we get to our main character here. This is May. She is one of maybe a twin the dark side version of the character. This is actually a really cool picture of her. She's in the cantina where she's going to be fighting Indara there. But this is a cool look at May. So May, a mysterious young woman with a tragic past. Now, we've talked about what this tragic past might be, how maybe her home was destroyed by the Jedi, or the Jedi failed to protect her home as she grew up with the witches. And we see that throughout a lot of the trailers. So the tragic past might be that the Jedi either weren't there to protect her, or the Jedi destroyed her home. We're not too sure about which one is true yet, but regardless, she is going to be going after the Jedi because of this tragic past. May gets swept up into a sinister mystery, one that puts her into the center of the conflict in unexpected ways. Interesting. What are those unexpected ways? She is determined to exact vengeance on those who wronged her, and little can stop May on her quest. So again, vengeance on the ones who wronged her. We are assuming that the Jedi are the ones who wronged her, but maybe, just maybe, it could be somebody else. We don't really know. But we're assuming that it's the Jedi who wronged her because we see that the Jedi might have been either the ones who destroyed the witches' coven, or they weren't there to protect the witches. And that's kind of where this whole thing happens. Now, what's really interesting to me here is that she's being thrown into the center of the conflict in an unexpected way. It seems pretty expected to me. She's our main character. She's killing Jedi. She's the main suspect. She's the center of the conflict. That doesn't seem unexpected to me at all. But maybe there's something going on here. Maybe. Funny. Maybe. Get it? Hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that unexpected way is, because it seems pretty expected to me. Ben, what's up? How we doing? Okay. Now we got Kelnaka. Now, what's really interesting to me here is this image of Kelnaka. He doesn't look like any of the other images we've seen from this Wookiee Jedi. He's not wearing his Jedi robes, and he looks like Chewbacca. He's got a satchel on just like Chewbacca does. And actually, what the hell is in his satchel? Are those flowers? What is that? Somebody zoom in. I can't zoom in on this image. Hey, hang on, let's save it. Save as, I guess. Sure. Save the image. Now we got to find out what. That's not the image at all. What did it just save as? Save as? Oh, it's saving as something weird. Okay, we'll just screenshot it then. Hang on. I don't know what's in his satchel, but we got to find out. I'm not stopping until I find out. Okay. So it is interesting that Kelnaka's not wearing his Jedi robes when in every other instance from any trailer or image that we've seen of this character, he's wearing his Jedi robes. Interesting. And then in this image, he's not. He's just wearing a satchel just like Chewbacca does in the original trilogy. So here we go. Let's zoom in on this. Oops. It looks like just flowers. I could be wrong, but it just looks like flowers. But even still, it's weird. He's not wearing his Jedi robes, which we haven't seen yet. So I don't know. This character is pretty interesting because we've seen him fighting against Master Soul, fighting against the curly-haired Jedi. I don't know why he is, but he's been secluded. And we're about to read this description where we get some more insight on that. But let's read this. So Kelnaka, okay? Boom. A Wookiee Jedi Master, Kelnaka has sequestered himself. Keep that in mind. In the tangled jungles of Kofar, I think it's pronounced Kofar, something like that. That does give us finally a planet name for this jungle planet where we see the Jedi fighting against the Sith Lord, or what we believe is a Sith Lord, in the forest. That is the planet of Kofar. Now, we haven't really been to Kofar yet in Star Wars, but that's because new planets are introduced all the time. He is a loner who lives a solitary life. Now, we know for a fact that Kelnaka wasn't always this way. Melissa, what's up? He wasn't always this way. We see him in the flashback sequences right alongside of Master Soul, Master Indara, and the curly-haired dude talking to the witches. We also see him fighting against Master Soul and the curly-haired dude. So there's a little bit of mystery about this Kelnaka guy. he's fighting against Jedi in flashbacks, and then in current day, he's sequestered himself. He's secluded himself as a loner in a solitary life on this planet in the jungle. Something's very, very strange about Kelnaka that's going to be explored pretty soon, I think, probably in the premiere very quickly. And then the last one on this list of character descriptions is Jeki. This is Master Soul's apprentice. So Jeki is played by Daphne Keane too. Jeki, a skilled and studious Padawan learner. Jeki Loon, whatever, shows great promise in her path in becoming a Jedi Knight. The Padawan's apprentice to Master Soul is young, but she projects calm and conducts herself with maturity. So again, very short descriptions of each character, but some key pieces of information being shown here. Not only is Kelnaka sequestered himself to a solitary life in the forest, but that forest planet is called Kofar. We also get a big description here for May, where she's unexpectedly put into the center of this fold, of this conflict, even though it seems pretty expected to us. And there's little that can stop May on her quest for vengeance, meaning something crazy happened to her. And then we get Master Andara and Master Soul. So that was released literally 1 hour ago. Those are character descriptions for our main heroes and villains, I guess, of this show. Still, I think, to me, the most interesting character going into this show is Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi. And maybe, tell me in the chat who are you most excited to see in this Acolyte show? Who are you most interested to see, I guess, should be the question. But Kelnaka to me is just, it's weird. Like, what's going on with this guy? Why is he fighting against Master Soul in the trailers? Against the curly-haired Jedi in the trailers? Why is he secluded himself as a loner on this planet with the jungle, the Kofar planet? Why has he done that? What is going on with him? Why does he have no control? What's going on there? That's a big thing for me. I'm also really excited to see Master Soul, and excited to see May, of course. I want to see if this twin theory is real. Could Kelnaka be Chewbacca's ancestor? I don't think so. I think there's like any other species, there's tons and tons and tons of millions, if not billions, of Wookiees on Kashyyyk, which is their home world. But I really don't know. I don't think that they're related in some way. They're both Wookiees, but I doubt they'll be directly related. Yeah. There are a few. Kelnaka, Vanestra Rowe stand out for me. Also Darth Zipperface. That's pretty funny. Yeah, obviously I want to know the real identity of Darth Zipperface, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I can't wait for this show. I know we only have 1 week, but it's going to be a long-ass week. I can already tell. Oh, yeah. Your pal Joe, what is up, says, I'm super hyped for the Acolyte show. Me too. Jack says, I'm excited to see Jeki, May, Andara, and Soul. Jeki's a weird one for me. Obviously, it's Daphne Keane, so I'm excited. She's the Padawan of Master Soul, so it's kind of cool, but she's not I'm not that excited for that character in particular, Excited for the laser whip. Me too. The light whip is going to be pretty damn cool, if I do say so myself. Yeah. I agree. Wookiees are my favorite. Yeah, it's true. Wookiees are great. Navarro says, I just read that. Kelnaka is so interesting. Seems like he has a tragic story. What's interesting, too, is that he is a Jedi and remains a Jedi. Don't you think if he tried to kill other Jedi, he would have been, taken off of the Jedi Order, like Ahsoka in the Clone Wars? Wouldn't he be expelled from the Jedi? How is he able to continue to be a Jedi and just seclude himself in the middle of nowhere? That's just an option for us? That's a cool little vacation spot to become a Jedi in the middle of nowhere? I don't know. It's a little suspicious to me. Fearless says, May, and you're right. Kelnaka is definitely very interesting too. Yeah. I think those two are probably at the top of my list as well. Yubal Joe says, I was extremely skeptical when I first heard about it, the Acolyte show itself, and all the stuff with the director had me kind of lose interest. But the recent trailers and reviews have made it look incredible. Yeah, absolutely. When the Acolyte show was first announced, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, what else do you want me to say? That it's a new show. Great. But we didn't know much about it. And it wasn't until we got the first trailer, which wasn't until April, right? April. And that was only last month. So it wasn't until last month when we really were like, oh crap, this show's actually going to be really good because we saw the trailer. And seeing is obviously believing, but we didn't know much about this show until we finally did. And that's when we got trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer for this show. And each and every trailer gives us more information about the show, but it also gets us more excited because we're in a period before the prequel trilogy, in a place where we've never been before, where the Sith aren't supposed to be around, but Darth Zipperface is here. And May is supposed to be an acolyte of the Sith. So something weird is going on. Somebody's killing Jedi. And we get to see the Jedi at their peak. A brand new cast of Jedi, a lot of lightsabers, a lot of force. It just, like, it's an equation that equals awesomeness, that equals greatness, that equals something that could be really, really cool. So that's why I'm excited. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And the Abeloth Sith-looking person, yeah, I don't know if there's a direct connection to Abeloth, but the smiley face is a little weird. Yeah. I'm super duper interested and hopeful to learn more about the Force. Yeah, so a lot of those reviews that we read on Saturday were all sort of saying that, like, the lore of Star Wars is being pushed with this show. And that's great. I mean, that's what Ahsoka did. That's what The Mandalorian has been doing. The lore of Star Wars needs to be expanded with every project that's released. And I think this show has the possibility to really push that lore a lot further and further and further, especially when it comes to the Sith at this time and the Jedi at this time as well. Yeah, for sure. In Legends, Tovoka was Plo Koon's master. What if they make Kelnaka Plo Koon's master? I have heard that theory. Yes, Plo Koon's master is a Wookiee Jedi in Legends. Now, that's not canon. Well, what if they made Kelnaka Plo Koon's master? It's possible. We talked about how Plo Koon is most likely that Keldor that is in the trailer that we got last week. I have no doubt in my mind that it's Plo Koon, but a lot of fans do have doubts that that is truly Plo Koon. It would be cool. I mean, why not? Give us a cool Wookiee Jedi, make him Plo Koon's master, give us Plo Koon. I mean, I'm not going to complain about any of that. Sounds fantastic. Sounds great. Qui-Gon's Ghost says, Mike, maybe Kelnaka used his claws or something other than peace, and that's why he exiles himself, like what happened on Kashyyyk. Interesting. So you're saying that he exiles himself because he doesn't know if he can control himself because he's a Wookiee. Interesting. Maybe. Star Wars Bros says, I think he could cause Chewbacca. What? Oh, he could because Chewbacca has some pretty decent midichlorian count. Really? I did not know that. Does Chewbacca actually have a very high midichlorian count? I didn't know. I didn't know that. Master Soul, because these characters, these are the characters I'm very interested in. Master Soul's a cool one because he just reminds me of Qui-Gon. Every time we see him, it just reminds me more and more of Qui-Gon. He's not on the Jedi Council, just like Qui-Gon wasn't. And he sort of has a different view of the Force and of the Jedi, just like Qui-Gon did. His emotions, he doesn't neglect them. He uses them to sort of learn more about the Force. Yeah. 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 Ooh, like Vecna in Stranger Things? What are you talking about? In the books, Barsha Vo is a Jedi who secludes themselves from the Order to focus only on the Force. Yeah, there are Jedi who've secluded themselves before. Kelnaka's not the first to ever do that. But I think Kelnaka's doing it for a different reason, not to get more in tune with the Force or learn more about the Force. He's doing it because he has to, because he can't control himself around other Jedi, which might be because of witches. While we're on the topic of witches, okay? While we're on the topic of the witches that we've seen all throughout these trailers, we have a massive reveal, so to speak, about the witches in this upcoming Acolyte show, and it's coming from Jodie Turner-Smith herself, who is playing the mother of the witches. And it gives us a lot of key information about what's to come when it comes to these witches, whether they're Night Sisters or not, and what to expect from these flashback sequences, from what is actually going on at the start of this story. So let's read this. I'm losing my voice already. We're only 25 minutes in. That's not a good sign. But let's read this first, okay? This is coming from Screen Rant. Jodie Turner-Smith reveals secret of Star Wars new Force cult that is feared by the Jedi. Okay, let's read this. Star Wars The Acolyte's mother, Anisea, whatever. The mother from the witches that we see in the trailers, actress Jodie Turner-Smith, revealed brand new details about Star Wars' newest Force cult in an exclusive interview with Screen Rant. Updates on The Acolyte have already suggested that it will be one of the most thrilling of Star Wars' upcoming TV shows. Set 100 years before The Phantom Menace, The Acolyte will explore the High Republic era, undoubtedly unveiling secrets of the Jedi, the Republic, and the Sith. Now, however, Jodie Turner-Smith has indicated that Star Wars' newest coven of witches will also play a major role in this era. So not only are you getting a new look at the Jedi at this time, the Sith at this time, and the Republic at this time, but you're also getting a new look at witches at this time. And witches in recent past in Star Wars have been very prevalent, from the Night Sisters of Dathomir in the Clone Wars, and in Ahsoka, and in Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order with Merrin in Dathomir. But also in Tales of the Empire, we just got introduced to this new knight, or not even a Night Sister, but a new mother, another witch, who was able to teleport herself to save Morgan Elsbeth and try to save her daughter, but she was unable to. So we've seen witches in Star Wars in very recent past that have been able to do some pretty crazy things. And I think this witch coven from the Acolyte show is going to be even more important than people would have ever thought. So let's keep reading. In fact, according to the mother herself, actress Jodie Turner-Smith, this coven is feared by the Jedi themselves. Interesting. Who believe that the witch's Force abilities pose a threat to the Jedi Order. Speaking exclusively with Screen Rant, Turner-Smith explained this. So before we get into this quote from Jodie Turner-Smith, let me talk about this just briefly. Night Sisters have always been very strong with the Force in different ways. We see them use magic instead of using the Force. We've seen Mother Talzin in the Clone Wars be able to do some insane things, bring people back from the dead, create things out of thin air, use magic to do some very crazy things. Now, the Acolyte shows a new cast of Jedi that fear these witches. And it just so happens that we see in flashback sequences from these trailers, the witches, at least giving one of their children in Osha to the Jedi Order, and she becomes Master Soul's apprentice. She eventually leaves the Jedi Order, and her twin sister May becomes an evil person who's hunting down Jedi. But at one point, at the point of the beginning of this Acolyte show, the Jedi fear these witches. Keep that in mind. Let's read this. What's up, Crazy Dominican? What's up, Trent? How we doing?
Hello there.
All right, let's read what Jodie Turner-Smith had to say about this. I wouldn't compare them to Night Sisters. Interesting. That's the first thing she has to say. Do not compare them to Night Sisters. Yes, they're witches, but they're not the same as the Night Sisters of Dathomir. Those are different witches. It's almost like Jedi, Grey Jedi, Sith. They all use the Force, but they're not the same. Keep that in mind. I think it's best not to, and to just walk in with an open mind about who they are. But basically, Mother Anissa and whatever, the Mother has created the community on this planet of Brendok. Again, another planet has just been revealed, Brendok, for this coven of witches. We are existing in a time where, according to the Jedi, the power that we have to manipulate the Force is to be feared and is wrong. We are, by annexing ourselves on Brendok in resistance to that idea, I want to say, in a way, because it's not like we are sitting here being like, we want to fight the Jedi. We don't. We want to live in peace, and we want to find a place where we are not persecuted for possessing power that we feel are natural to us and that we should have. So we're going to keep reading the rest of this quote, but right there, we learn so much about these witches. They're being persecuted by the Jedi because of the power that they have. The Jedi feel threatened. They're fearing these witches because of their abilities, meaning these witches obviously are going to be extremely powerful. That's without having to be said right here. That's clear. They're going to be extremely powerful, but they have secluded themselves on this peaceful planet of Brendok, and they seem to have just want to live. They're not posing a threat to the Jedi. They're not posing a threat to anybody. They just want to live the way that they are. But the Jedi see them as a threat. I think a lot of fans are going to be extremely upset about how they show the Jedi in this series. And it's going to be the same way they showed the Jedi in the prequel trilogy, but some people just didn't see that. The Jedi in the prequel trilogy are corrupted. They're blind to the dark side. They allow Palpatine to rise to power. They allow the chosen one to slip out of their fingertips. They're stupid. And that's what the Jedi are going to be sort of shown in this show as well. They fear these witches. And in doing so, they try to kill them, possibly, or at least they try to stop them from being who they are or possessing the power that they have. But let's keep reading. Schnikes, where was I? Oh, we want to live in peace. Oh, I read this, but and we want to find a place where we're not persecuted for possessing power, and we feel are natural to us, and that we should have, and that we don't need to be a Jedi in order to have. So they want to be able to wield the Force and have the powers that they do without having to be Jedi. But perhaps the establishment can't find our existence, just like any that exist outside of the binary, threatening. Interesting. And that is what makes it so dangerous for us for a Jedi to come across our paths. So we're going to see the Jedi come across the paths of these witches. They think that they're in hiding on this planet, this remote planet of Brendok, and when the Jedi come to say hi, they're going to be like, oh shit, this is not good. And that's going to cause a massive conflict and probably kick us off into this show. Now, I still believe that these are flashbacks that she's talking about. Let me pull up this trailer so I can kind of visually tell you guys what I'm referring to here. So we get in the original trailer, this one, there it is. So if we pull up this trailer right here.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
So we see our Osha character, one of the twins, the good one.
She was my
we see the Jedi come to take her in as a Jedi.
student.
That's her right there. These are the witches behind them with the bow and arrows and all that stuff.
I trained her.
And that's the mother, not looking very happy about this whole circumstance. Not looking very happy about it at all. But the Jedi have come, and they're all pissed about it, and they've come to take one of their own, to bring her in as a Jedi, which is not very okay with these witches. They've gone into hiding so that the Jedi wouldn't find them. Not only have the Jedi found them, but they're here to take one of their own, which is not okay.
Trained her. Let me be.
And then we see May there. But we do have more flashback sequences here. This is after the explosion, it looks like. We see the explosion here.
I've changed it.
and this is the same location that we were just at before, but now it's exploded, and maybe it was the Jedi who did it. Maybe it wasn't the Jedi who did it, but somebody who was trying to hurt the Jedi, or somebody who was trying to hurt the witches and frame the Jedi. We don't know. However, this interview from Jodie Turner-Smith is extremely important because she just established that the witches and the Jedi are at odds from day one. The witches are hiding from the Jedi because the Jedi are trying to persecute them for having their powers and not being Jedi. And they're hiding from the Jedi, and we know for a fact from the trailers, whoops, that's not the trailers, from the trailers that the Jedi do in fact
She
find them.
was my
Not only do they find them, but they take one of their own.
student.
So this is a flashback, yes, but this might be the start of the entire conflict. And this might not be like the first scene of the show. It might be established later on. But we might get introduced to this May character, and then her backstory is she was a witch with this coven of witches that is in hiding from the Jedi. The Jedi destroy the witches' coven,
I'm changing.
like we see right here. And then she wants revenge for the rest of her life, becomes a Sith, studies the Sith, becomes an acolyte of the Sith, and starts to murder Jedi. And there's your plot. There's the start. There's the kickoff point of this entire show. It's the witches versus the Jedi. And Jodie Turner-Smith, who's playing the mother of these witches, just might have confirmed this herself with this massive, massive reveal about the Jedi and witches being at odds from day one. The Jedi trying to actually get rid of the witches because of their power. They fear them, almost like the Sith. So the Sith aren't around at this time. By the time of the Acolyte show, the Sith are not around. Don't get it mixed up. They are not. Even though you see Darth Zipperface in the trailer, the Sith are not around. They haven't been around for 1,000 years. The Sith aren't here. So the Jedi have to fear other things in the galaxy other than the Sith. They have, in the High Republic books, they have the Nihil, or the Nihil, whatever you want to call them, the Nihil, who are just space marauders. They're just pirates. But they fear them because they have power, and there's a lot of them. Same can be said about these witches. The witches have power, especially when it comes to the Force. They have the ability to wield it, and that scares the Jedi Order. When the Sith aren't around, they have to fear something, and they fear these witches. And that's going to cause for this massive problem in this series because one of the witches grew up hating the Jedi, learned to become an acolyte of the Force, and now starts to murder Jedi. Are you with me so far? And does that make sense? Let's start there. Does that make sense? Is that sort of finally putting the puzzle pieces together? Are we getting there? Are we getting there? I think we're getting there. All right, let's go back to what this article has to say, because there's a little bit more of this. Oh, there we go. Okay. This update from Jodie Turner-Smith is absolutely fascinating, suggesting that the Acolyte will introduce Force-sensitive beings who don't fit into any other category of the Force users, i.e. Sith or Jedi. And these are just labeled as witches. So, how does Mother Enzia, whatever, Force cult fit into the Force? So this is what we have to say here. Jodie Turner-Smith's comments about these new the new coven of Force-sensitive witches suggest that they will be not unliked, but they will be unliked by the Jedi, but unlike any other Star Wars, anything Star Wars has shown us before, falling outside the binary of the light and the dark sides of the Force. They're sort of in between the two. It is really hot in here. Whew. I don't know. It just got really hot in here. If I pass out, just wake me up. To a certain extent, this is also true of the Night Sisters of Dathomir. They're not Sith, they're not Jedi, they're somewhere in between. And so are these witches in the Acolyte job, who aren't aligned with the Jedi or the Sith. However, Turner-Smith was also clear that the Acolyte witches do not, or should not, be compared to the Night Sisters. They are different. They are very, very, very different. Instead, they are something else entirely. Star Wars has become more flexible and creative with the rules and definitions of the Force since the original trilogy. Yes, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi explains that the Force was in all things, but it's nevertheless seemed like a power wielded by only the Jedi and only the Sith, only the dark side and only the light. Yes. This dichotomy also implies that there were only two sides of the Force, the light and the dark. The Phantom Menace then added to this understanding, explaining that according to the Chosen One prophecy, Anakin was meant to bring balance to the Force. However, that's no longer the case. Star Wars has become more flexible and creative with blah, blah, blah. However, TV shows such as Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Ahsoka have expanded on these rules of the Force even more. The Clone Wars introduced the Night Sisters, and Ahsoka presented the Force as something anyone can learn and wield regardless of their natural aptitude. The Acolyte seems primed to build upon this history with the mother of this coven of witches. Indeed, it isn't clear whether these witches tap into the light side or the dark side or something else entirely, something in between. Moreover, it's intriguing that the Jedi seem afraid of and strongly opposed to these witches' abilities to wield this power, suggesting a defensiveness that doesn't cast the Jedi in a more positive light, which already I can see fans complaining about. Giving the Acolyte's place in the Star Wars timeline, the show will likely uncover the cracks of the Jedi Order, which led to its eventual downfall. And this may be one of those such cracks in the Jedi Order. Although Star Wars: The Acolyte undoubtedly has many more secrets to reveal, the insight of Jodie Turner-Smith offers a sneak peek into Star Wars' fascinating new coven of witches. And The Acolyte premieres 1 week from today on June 4th. So let's talk about it. The witches. Do we think they're evil? Do we think they're good? Are they just going to make the Jedi look more evil and show that the Jedi are more corrupt than we believe them to be? Clearly, they're not bothering anybody on this peaceful planet of Brendok. They're not doing anything wrong. The Jedi just fear their power. So what do we think? What do we think of these witches? How are we... I don't know. I'm more and more excited. The more and more we read, the more and more we watch, the more and more we talk about, I get more and more excited for this Acolyte show. But these witches in particular have become extremely important because not only are they feared by the Jedi because of their powers, but they're now coming into contact. They're hiding from the Jedi. And now they're coming into contact with the Jedi, and it ends in a fiery explosion. Not only that, it makes Kelnaka, some way, somehow, fight against the Jedi, as we see in this other trailer right here, if I can pull it up really quickly. Where does... No, not that one. Not that one. This one.
Jedi are
This is right here. Damn it. This is Kelnaka fighting against the curly haired dude. He's clearly scratched up his face. That's his hand right there, like crushing his skull, it looks like almost. And then I don't know where we see him fighting Master Soul. I forget where that was. Is it in this trailer? Yeah, right here. And then he's fighting Master Soul here. So the Knights, and this is, of course, the same location as you can tell from the back. This Coven of Night Sisters, Coven of Witches, not Night Sisters. This Coven of Witches is clearly more important than anybody knows. They're feared by the Jedi. They're hiding from the Jedi because they know that they'll probably be persecuted or at least destroyed by the Jedi if they're found. So they're hiding from the Jedi, and the Jedi find them. And that causes our huge conflict. And this May character is likely to be coming from these Coven of Witches and becoming an acolyte of the Sith and hunting down and murdering Jedi. So, yeah. I mean, we're trying to put all these massive puzzle pieces together, but it's a 5,000-piece puzzle. and all the pieces are scattered across the frickin' universe, and we're trying to piece them all together. So, although we have pieced together this scene with other flashback scenes of this witch's coven, where clearly something's going on here, which ends in a fiery explosion and might kick off our actual plot of the show, where May is a witch who eventually grows hatred for the Jedi because of what they did to her home, and then she has vengeance towards the Jedi and eventually exacts her revenge by murdering Jedi, and that's the plot of this entire show. But guess what? It took us 2 months to come up with that, and that's probably all going to be explained in episode 1. Probably all going to be put together for us nice and neatly in episode 1. So there's a million, trillion, bajillion twists and turns coming our way in this Acolyte show that we have no idea about. We're just sort of piecing it all together as we go here. But Jodie Turner-Smith, who's going to play, I just bit my tongue. Damn it!
I got a bad feeling about this.
Jodie Turner-Smith, who plays the mother of this witch's coven, just gave us a massive insight into what's going on with these characters and why they're feared by the Jedi because of their power, which is pretty cool. I mean, witches from day one, since they were introduced in the Clone Wars with Mother Talzin, with Asajj Ventress, with all the Night Sisters on Dathomir, since they were introduced, have been a very, very cool aspect of the Star Wars universe, because witches that use magic, that use the Force differently than Jedi and Sith, that's cool. And it's only been recently that we've got that explored more. Not only in the Jedi games, but in Ahsoka, and now the Acolyte's going to dive even deeper into that. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait. But let's see what you guys have to say in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh, no, hang on. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay. Darth Zipper face? Yeah, indeed. There's loads of theories going on in my head. That's true. That is true. Mike, I'm on Mando 2. I just finished my marathon. I might watch it again, but who knows? That's awesome. Mando's awesome. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it was all about the council. True. In Legends, there was a Dathomiri clan called the Singing Mountain Clan. Well, yeah, now there is the Mountain Clan, obviously, in Tales of the Empire. John Groom says, did the Ahsoka show say how long it was since the Night Sisters came to the Star Wars galaxy? Would that be before the Acolyte? Oh, yeah, it's thousands of years before. The Night Sisters of Dathomir have been on Dathomir for thousands and thousands of years. I don't think Ahsoka specifically told us that, but it has been quite a long time. Yeah, quite a long time. Crazed Dominican, what's up? Trent, how we doing? I thought Night Sisters were just witches, not Force sensitive. No, they wield... The magic that they use is because of the Force. It's not two separate things. It's not the magic. It's not Night Sister magic and then the Force. They're both the Force, just used differently. Like Force lightning, and then Force push and Force pull that the Jedi use. Then the Night Sisters just use magic, or what looks to be magic. Yeah. There is no gray Jedi. Well, there's an in between, and that's a gray area. So kind of by definition, it's a gray Jedi. They're a sister cult. They are a cult of Force users, but they're just titled as witches. Coven of Witches, yeah. True. Aha, there's a part of the conflict in the Acolyte. Yeah, I mean, that's the start of the conflict. This character, May, is from this Coven of Witches, and the Jedi either destroy them or don't, or they have some animosity towards them. It's possible that the Jedi, in their own stupidity, try to kill all these witches because they think that they're a threat. Maybe they think that they pose a threat, or maybe the witches actually do pose a threat. They try to attack the Jedi, and then they're like, we got to get rid of them. Or maybe they make the Jedi fight themselves. Maybe they have Kelnaka fight against themselves, and that's how they know that these witches are clearly a threat, and they come back to destroy them. And maybe Master Soul's like, we shouldn't be doing this, but the other Jedi are like, we have to. Either way, we're going to be seeing the downfall of the Jedi Order in this show, and it's going to go over probably very shaky for some fans, But I think the more fans that are open to it and know that that's what they're getting into going in are going to be probably more pleased about it. Yeah. Fear is a path that leads to the dark side. That's true. That is true. So the Jedi fearing these witches is not a good thing, as we know. As we are aware of, yes. I'm excited to see if the twin theory comes true. Me too. Me too. Qui-Gon's Ghost says, a direct result of aligning with the Senate. I think the new book, The Living Force, shows us just how disconnected from the Force the Jedi have become. Yeah, by the time of the prequel trilogy, they're just politicians. The Jedi have become politicians in a war, the Clone Wars. And they've become generals, but the High Council have become just politicians. And that's they've lost their way, clearly. And I think the Acolyte is going to show that was a very slow process, and it starts all the way back 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and all these cracks seeping through. Now, this is actually very, very important. It doesn't tell us who Darth Zipperface is, but it does tell us that the witches are sort of the villains here, not the Sith. And yes, maybe May is an acolyte of the Sith, trying to train in the ways of the dark side of the Force along with some magic. But it confirms, or at least not knowing who Darth Zipperface is, it confirms that the Sith aren't coming back, which is a huge issue for a lot of Star Wars fans, which rightfully so, because Master Ki-Adi-Mundi was the name I was looking for there. Ki-Adi-Mundi says that the Sith haven't been around for millennia in The Phantom Menace, which is 1,000 years, and they shouldn't be in this show. Now, the mystery of Darth Zipperface is still a big mystery, but right now, the main villains and the main threat of the show seem to be the witches, not the Sith, which might be a sigh of relief for a lot of Star Wars fans who are very concerned about the Sith showing up in this show, which makes sense. Mando United says, maybe the Jedi see the witches as a downward path to the Sith. Well, I mean, they see them as not the light side, probably. So if they're not the light side, then if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. We might be seeing a lot of references to that, to the Jedi really looking like Anakin in this scenario. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy, and they're going to destroy these witches because they're not with them. And only a Sith deals in absolutes. Darth Zipperface is the one to blame for the explosion. That is a possibility. It's possible that the Sith are to blame for all of this, and the Sith are the ones pinning the witches against the Jedi and the Jedi against the witches. That would be kind of cool. If Plagueis or Tenebris or Zipperface are the ones who are sort of behind all of this, pulling the strings like the puppeteers, maybe they're the ones who came in and framed the Jedi for this destruction of the Witches' Coven, and then they create the Acolyte of the Sith in May to fight against the witches. To fight against the Jedi and start murdering Jedi, and that would mean that the Sith wouldn't have to show their face. Tenebris, Plagueis, they wouldn't have to come out of hiding. They could just use May as an Acolyte of the Sith to start hunting down Jedi. So not only would they get rid of the witches, but they'd also get rid of the Jedi, or at least try to get rid of the Jedi as well. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's a great theory. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. What's up, Abby? How we doing? It does make sense. Nice. I got a lot of theories, but the big one is the Wookiee. Yeah, the Wookiee. I mean, Kelnack's most likely being corrupted by the witches in this scene here when he's fighting against Master Soul. He's likely under a spell or under some sort of witch magic to be fighting Soul here. There's no reason for him to just do it on his own free will. So I think there's clearly something going on here where the witches are pinned against the Jedi and the Jedi are pinned against the witches. And maybe there's a third party involved, Plagueis or Tenebris or Zipperface or whomever, who is pinning them against each other. That's definitely a possibility. So the reason that it's a Sith-centered show is because the Sith are the ones behind the scenes pulling the strings. They're the ones saying, fight against these witches. Kill the Jedi. Do all this. They're the ones pulling the strings, which would be like so cool. So here's the pitch. If you're going into Lucasfilm and you're saying, I got a show idea, if you're Leslie Headland and I got a show idea, the Sith are pulling the strings from behind the scenes. They don't get seen by the Jedi because they're not supposed to be around for 1,000 years, but Plagueis or Tenebris are behind the scenes pulling the strings. The Jedi are fearing these witches because they have power and they shouldn't. And the Jedi are looking for Force-sensitive kids, as they always do, because they're looking for new younglings, and they come across one who's in the witches, and her name is Osha. The Jedi take in Osha, and the witches hesitantly give up this youngling. And while the Jedi vow to not destroy the witches, some Jedi-looking creature, maybe Darth Zipperface, comes in and destroys the witches' coven, leaving May alive, but framing the Jedi for this destruction. May grows up, becomes a follower of the Sith, an acolyte of the Sith, and vows to destroy and strike revenge on the Jedi and becomes a Jedi murderer. And there's your show pitch. And oh, hey, guess what? They're also twins. That Osha character that went off with the Jedi is a twin of your villain too. That sounds like a freaking amazing show to me, if you ask me. Like, the Sith are pulling the strings from behind the scenes. You got twins. One goes off with the Jedi. One goes off with the Sith. The witches get destroyed because the Jedi are stupid. It sounds amazing. I mean, who would not want to watch that show? That's my thing. Does that not sound fan-freaking-tastic? If I was in the board meeting, I'd stand up and I'd clap. Sounds freaking great to me. My only thing is, what's the end game? How does this really further the story of Star Wars? It sounds like a really cool sort of off story, a spin-off story of this May character who starts to murder Jedi. Sounds cool. And yes, you can start to sort of show the cracks in the Jedi Order, how they ended up the way that they were in the prequel trilogy. But what's the end game? Are we going to see are we going to see Plagueis? Are we going to see Tenebris? Are we going to get that explored more? What comes after this? How can there be a second season? There's a lot of unanswered questions about the end of this show. But the pitch in general sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Now, again, there's some of this, because we're piecing it all together, could be wrong. So take it with a grain of salt. But I think with the trailers, with the scenes that we've seen, I think a lot of it is probably on target. Stay on target. Yeah. All right, let's see what you guys have to say in the chat so I can catch up so I don't get too far behind. John Groom says, strange to suggest that there is a light and dark side of the Force. The Force is the Force, and who uses it is the light or the dark. Yeah. True. So there's not just the light and just the dark. There is an in-between area. There's this massive in-between area. That's where the witches come in, not only the witches from the Acolyte, but the witches from Dathomir, and your Grey Jedi, your Ahsoka characters, your Asajj Ventress characters, like people like that who are kind of not dark side, but not fully light side. They're in between. That's your gray area, so to speak. Yeah, for sure. Jack says, I think that the witches and the Jedi blew the Jedi blew up their house that we see in the trailer. And then May learns the ways of the Force, probably the dark side of the Force, and uses them to destroy the Jedi to get revenge for what happened to her home. Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. I think that is definitely what is going on here. Once again, it's all about perspective. It's very true. So from May's perspective, her home got destroyed by the Jedi. And she wants revenge. Seems pretty right to me. From the Jedi's perspective, the witches are the bad guys. They're evil. They're posing a threat to the Jedi. So they have to destroy them. It's really all about whose side you're on, whose perspective you have. And I'm actually really hoping that this show is more so from the perspective of May so that we feel bad for her. I want to feel like she's the good guy here. Even though she's the villain, she's the good guy. Because we feel for her side of the story, and we know that what she's doing in her own head might be the right thing. If we see from the Jedi's perspective first that they come as these nice, smiley-looking, hey, we're here to come steal your children.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Wait. Let me rewind and rephrase. Hey, we're here. Hang on. I don't know how to rephrase it. The Jedi are creepy. Okay, hang on. Hey, we're here to take your children away from you forever. I don't know how to put it nicely, but the Jedi are like, hey, we're here to come steal your children. And then they take the children, they train them to become a Jedi. It's okay, they'll become a cool Force user Jedi who will protect the galaxy. And then we get to see it from a different perspective, from May's perspective, where she's a young kid who's hiding in terror from the Jedi. They're evil. They are evil with these laser swords that are scary as hell. And they kill all of her family. And then she vows revenge, to strike revenge on these horrible beings that came to destroy her home. So she goes to the dark side. She becomes powerful with the Force, and then she strikes her revenge. So we would feel for that character. We would be on her side. We would be rooting for her, even though she's the villain fighting against our Jedi heroes. That's where I want this show to get. That's where I want this show to really, really get to. Yeah. That would be awesome. Oh, there was still some water in that. Now my chair is wet. Not much water. Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba! Much better. Okay. Jack says, this is my theory about the Wookiee, Kalnaka. Kalnaka gets possessed by the witches to fight Master Soul. Then he wakes up, and then he has to go into hiding for the regrets that he has. And the Jedi try to bring him back to fight against the Acolyte. I like the theory, but I'm going to put a little bit of a twist on the end of that theory, because here's where I think it's going. I think Kalnaka, yes, he gets probably controlled by the witches, is unable to control himself to fight, and he fights against Master Soul. He fights against the curly-haired Jedi who might even die in that sequence. Remains to be seen. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he survives. But we know for a fact that 4 Jedi are present at Grande Potato. Is that Potato? I'll get to your theory. Don't worry about it. I catch up on all the chats. I will get to your theory. Don't worry about it. I'm just a little bit behind on the chat. So, yes, I do think that he'll be taken over by the Night Sisters and unable to control his actions, and he'll fight against the Jedi. And then in his own head, he'll think, I can't control myself anymore, and Kalnaka will go into hiding. He'll go into hiding, secluding himself from the Jedi so that that doesn't happen anymore. However, there are 4 Jedi who go to the Night Sister, or to go to the Witches' Coven, their home, and that is Master Soul, curly-haired dude, Kalnaka, and Indara, Master Indara. All 4 of these Jedi are seen by May at her home, which she later vows to kill them all. So I actually think that these 4 Jedi in particular are all going to be on May's sort of hit list to kill off. And that's why Indara is going to die in the first episode. The curly-haired dude is going to die that we see in the trailer. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. So I think May is going to kill those 4 Jedi first.
Last night,
So she's going to go kill those four Jedi first. Starting with Indara in the opening sequence of the show, I believe. She'll kill Indara.
Is a lie.
Then she goes and kills the curly-haired dude. This is probably the same curly-haired Jedi, just older now. Kills him too. So that leaves only 2 Jedi left, Master Soul and Kalnaka. So Soul is probably caught on to this chain of events, caught on to this murder spree, and has realized the 2 people that have died, the 2 Jedi that have died, are the same 2 Jedi that came with me and Kalnaka to the Witches' Coven. So it's probably one of the witches exacting her revenge on the Jedi. So Master Soul has probably pieced that all together, and that's why they go to the forest to go protect Kalnaka. They go to where Kalnaka has secluded himself to protect him. And that's how I think Kalnaka gets pulled into this whole thing, because he was one of the 4 Jedi that was there when the Night Sisters all died or whatever happens to them. He was there, and Master Indara and the curly-haired dude both have already been murdered, and they were both there, and Soul has sort of pieced it all together. That's why I think Kalnaka gets brought back in. What do we think? Officer Murdoch, what's up? How we doing? So that's where I think we're at. I think there's 4 Jedi who were at the Witch's Coven. They were all there. The witches all saw them, and May saw them. So later on, goes back to May hunting down these 4 specific Jedi, starting with Master Indara, then our curly-haired dude right here, and then Master Soul, and then Master Kalnaka, because we've already seen May try to kill Soul in the fight sequence that we got a full-on trailer about. We've already seen May try to kill Soul, so she's probably going to go after Kalnaka next. We've seen this. Master Soul versus May. So she's already killed Indara, she's already killed the curly-haired dude, and now she's going to go kill Soul and Kalnaka to exact her revenge on the Jedi. Yeah. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think that's why Kalnaka gets brought back into the whole thing, because he was there all the way back in that time period. I actually think we might be seeing something similar to, bear with me, The Last Jedi. I know. It's crazy. But in The Last Jedi, we see 2 different versions of Luke trying to kill Ben Solo. One version from Luke's point of view, where he's like, oh no, my nephew, he's having a bad dream. Let me just wake him up. Hey, Ben, you're having a bad dream over there. Hey, Ben. And then he pulls out a lightsaber. And then he pulls out a lightsaber. He's like, don't do it. And he's like, I'm going to do it. And then he does it. And then from Ben's perspective, he wakes up to Luke with an ignited lightsaber. He's like, I'm going to kill you. So it's 2 different perspectives. I think that's what the Acolyte's going to do as well, with 2 different perspectives of what happened that night at the Witch's Coven. What happened on Brendok? I think that's what's going to be the biggest thing. Because from May's perspective, the Jedi are the bad guys. And those 4 Jedi in particular, Indara, curly hair, Kalnaka, and Soul, were there, and they killed her family. But from the Jedi's perspective, that's not what happened. So we're going to see something similar to that. Yeah. Indeed. Qui-Gon's Ghost says, they're either Jedi or not. There's no colors for Jedi. Yoda is not a white Jedi, for example. As you said, in between is still a Jedi. Oh, so you're saying like a gray Jedi can't be a Jedi because they're not a Jedi. I understand. So, I mean, gray Jedi is just a title because they're in the gray area. And Jedi is just a title because they're a Force user. So I understand. You're absolutely right. Jedi is not the accurate description. A gray Force user, I guess, would be the accurate title for that character. But yeah, I get you. I get you. Ahsoka is in between, I would say. Yeah, Ahsoka is definitely in between, for sure. She is no Jedi, and she's definitely not a Sith either. Yeah. I would definitely be interested to see them add more context to the fall of the Jedi. I agree. I absolutely agree. But I think a lot of fans are going to be against that from just that, literally just that sentence alone. The fall of the Jedi. People don't like that. People who are prequel fans are absolutely in love with those Jedi, and they don't see them as bad guys. And they are bad guys, but they allow Palpatine to rise to power, and they allow Anakin to fall out of their fingertips, the chosen one. But a lot of fans don't want to see it that way. They want to believe that the Jedi in the prequel trilogy are these held on a pedestal type great beings. They're not. And I think that's where a lot of fans are going to be upset about this Acolyte show, because they're going to make the Jedi sort of look like the bad guys. And people won't like that. People won't like it. People won't like it one bit. Don't worry about it, Abby. I appreciate you coming here. Anthony says, Mike, I'm relatively excited for the Acolyte, but I'm very cautious. On June 4th, my antennas will be up. Halfway through Path of Vengeance, Planet X is weird and cool. I have not read Path of Vengeance, but that sounds awesome. Yeah, Anthony, weren't you really against the Acolyte from the jump? But now you're relatively excited. That's good to hear. I think a lot of people have gone from maybe not that excited for the Acolyte to, obviously the first trailer got more dislikes than likes. And now sort of the turntables have turned here, where some people are on the other side of it. Yeah. Think it was a Jedi and was a on what? Maria, I don't think that's English, but I appreciate it. What about an ex-Jedi? What about an ex-Jedi? Well, the weird thing about this whole thing, we've been talking about this for about an hour now, is where does Osha fit into this entire story? If the twin theory is to be true, in May, who stayed with the witches and grew up hating the Jedi, if she's murdering Jedi, where does Osha fit into this whole thing? Her twin sister who went off with the Jedi, trained to become a Jedi, and then leaves the Jedi Order. Where does she fit into the puzzle? What do you guys think? Where is Osha? Obviously, she's in the show because we see her in some of the trailers as Soul has to go find her. But how does she, like, is she going to die? Is May going to kill her own sister? I don't think so. I mean, maybe Darth Zipperface does, but I don't know. I don't know where Osha fits into this whole story at all. There's still so many question marks. Yeah. Anthony says, Mike, I'm just curious to know the exact name and derivation of planet origins of the witches cult. They are force related or something else on a supernatural level. Are they from the EU at all? I mean, witches are technically from the EU, yes, but they've been established in canon as the Night Sisters of Dathomir. But there are witches all across the galaxy. There are force users all across the galaxy that don't really fit into the description of Jedi or Sith. And that's what these witches are as well. They aren't, again, they're not Night Sisters of Dathomir either. So I don't know where they're from, but we do know at least that they've gone into hiding on this Brendok planet. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get a planet origin for these characters. Maybe we will. I don't really know. It probably depends on how excited fans are to see these witches, but we'll see. Jedi does not mean force user. Jedi is a religion or faith or dogma of doing and believing things in a certain way. True. Yeah, the Jedi are a specific way of wielding the Force, the light side of the Force. And the Sith are the opposite. So yeah, it doesn't mean force user. No, absolutely not. You're right. You're 100% right-o. Jack says, there's tons to talk about when it comes to the Acolyte. I feel like now we should just watch and enjoy. So much as I want to theorize, it's hurting my head. It is a lot to think and comprehend and talk about, but that's kind of the funnest part of it for me. I see a lot of people go, why do you get your expectations so high? Why do you make all these crazy theories that probably won't become true, and then you're let down? It's not a letdown. Whatever happens in the premiere of the Acolyte show, if it's good, it doesn't matter if I was right or not. I'm just more excited to see the show itself. I'm having a lot of fun speculating with you guys here, as we're already way behind on schedule, as we are already approaching an hour and 15 minutes on this freaking live stream, and we haven't even gotten to half the stuff I want to talk about. But I digress. I'm still going to be excited of however this pans out. Yeah. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. Me too. Okay. One Grand Potato, I think your name is supposed to say, but that's what I'm going to call you from now on, if that's okay. The Grand Potato says, I think the Sith is potentially recruit? I'm not sure what that says. Of Darth Venomous, secret apprentice of Darth Tenebris. Ooh, interesting. So you think it's going to be an apprentice of Darth Tenebris? It's possible, because Darth Plagueis, although he is an apprentice of Darth Tenebris, doesn't necessarily mean he is the first apprentice of Darth Tenebris. Just like before Vader, Palpatine had Dooku and Maul, he had more apprentices before he had his final apprentice. The way of the Sith is the rule of two. It doesn't mean there's only ever going to have to be one apprentice. It's going to be multiple apprentices. Yeah. Pal Joe says, this is true, but lots of people who use the Force white out Jedi training. Ahsoka had Jedi training. Therefore, she's not just a Force user. That's true. She was trained by the Jedi, but she's not a Jedi anymore. So she has Jedi training, but she's not technically a Jedi. So Grand Potato says, Sith in the trailer equals Darth Venomous, or Venomous? Yeah, Disney version. It's possible. Obviously, Leslie Headland has talked about how she's pulled from the extended universe a lot when it comes to this show. So we got to keep our eyes open for EU or Legends references or characters that look like characters from Legends. That's going to be pretty interesting, but I agree. Yeah, it could be. Ahsoka clearly says she is no Jedi. Even Mace references her as a citizen. True, that's because she left the Jedi Order, but she does still have training from the Jedi. What's coming for us in this show? I don't know. I don't know, because we're talking about the opening sequences. We're talking about the first episode. We're talking about the kickoff point of this plot. And we've been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks, piecing it all together. There's still 7 more episodes after that have a story that we don't know anything about. Not a single thing. We know that Darth Zipperface is involved. We know that somebody's murdering Jedi, but that's going to be in the first episode. We don't know anything about this second half of the series or even the first half of the series, really. Yeah. Anthony says, Mike, that's my biggest question. Is any/all of this even relevant to the overall Star Wars saga? Does it really add any color or texture to the established lore? Well, it will, in a lot of different ways, for the Jedi and how they fall in the prequel trilogy. But I am intrigued to see how else it sort of is relevant to the other overall saga, the Skywalker saga, and just the lore from before it. I'm intrigued. The theory that May is a Sith apprentice and their sister is a Jedi apprentice. Yeah, 100%. May is a Sith acolyte or an apprentice to an apprentice of a Sith. And her sister, Osha, is an apprentice to a Jedi. For sure. For sure. And then there's the Osha point of view. I hope I spelled her name right. I think it's Aosha. Osha. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. To me, by the time of the Mandoverse, Ahsoka is a Force mystic. However, Anakin basically completes her training as a Jedi. So as she may be a Force mystic who has all the training of a Jedi, well, Anakin wasn't necessarily training her to be a Jedi in that Force, in the World Between Worlds sequence. That's not necessarily what's going on there. It's possible that Anakin was just training her in the ways of the Force, not technically Jedi training. Is Resistance worth watching? I don't know. Let's ask the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've seen Star Wars Resistance. Give me a 2 if you haven't watched it yet. I still have not watched Star Wars Resistance. And I know it's only 2 seasons. I know it's not that long. But I don't know. I just, whenever I go to sit down and watch Star Wars, it's not at the top of my list. I'd rather watch like anything else. Wow, a bunch of you guys have watched it. Is it worth watching? Is it worth watching? That's the bigger question, I think. Chris says, the other girl is named Ellie Christian, Mike? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm back. Nice. Yeah, Ahsoka is cool. I loved her character in everything, either animated or live action. Yeah, Ahsoka is one of the greatest characters, in my personal opinion, in Star Wars. Let me get completely off topic here for a second. I guess not completely off topic. It is Star Wars. But I put up a poll in the community tab yesterday, and it already has over 17,000 votes. And it says, what is your favorite live action Star Wars show? And the 4 options are The Mandalorian, Kenobi, Andor, and Ahsoka. Now, first of all, I didn't put the Book of Boba Fett on the list because I only get 4 options for the list. And I was like, Book of Boba Fett is pretty much Mando Season 2.5. And although I do like the Book of Boba Fett, it's not my favorite. So I left it off the list. Tell me in the chat, of those 4 shows, The Mandalorian, Kenobi, Andor, and Ahsoka, which live-action Star Wars show is your favorite? Because I was absolutely shocked by the results of this poll and how upset people were in the comment section of how crazy this poll is. And some people were like, how could you leave the Clone Wars off this list? And I was like, it literally says live action. But that's another thing. I guess people just need to learn how to read. But some of the comment section was absolutely insane. It was like a battle zone in there. People fighting all about all these different things, about how Andor's the best. It's not even close. All of them suck. Like, it was absolutely wild. So tell me in the chat, Mandalorian, Kenobi, Andor, or Ahsoka, which is your favorite? For me, it's The Mandalorian. And it's only The Mandalorian because of it being 3 seasons. If it's single season versus single season, it's Ahsoka. Because I think Ahsoka Season 1 is better than any of the 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. But all 3 seasons combined of The Mandalorian, it's just too much. It's just so much better than all the other stuff because it's 3 seasons versus 1. So it's The Mandalorian for me. But if it was just a single season, it's Ahsoka. Not that the other 2, Andor and Kenobi, aren't good, because they are. And I'd put probably Andor over Kenobi. But this poll was shocking. All right, let's see where you guys are at in the chat here when it comes to this poll. I choose Ahsoka, Kenobi, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, Andor, Mando. Mando, Andor. Should I watch the Book of Boba Fett before, after Season 2 and before Season 3? Yes. Watch the Book of Boba Fett in between Mando Season 2 and Season 3. For sure. You'd be very confused if you didn't. Okay, interesting. So I see a little bit more Mandalorian than others, but it does seem... interesting. Kylo Ren is in the Resistance, therefore it is worth watching. Okay, so... to my own surprise, Safe House Horror, what's up, says Mando. To my own surprise, The Mandalorian, or not really to my surprise, but The Mandalorian won by a lot. It was what happened after The Mandalorian winning, which kind of blew my mind. So, there you see The Mandalorian. It's got 56% of votes. And the question was, which Star Wars show is your favorite? In parentheses, live action. So with over 17,000 votes, 56% of people say The Mandalorian, which is like, yeah, that makes sense. It's 3 seasons versus 1. It's not really fair. But then we scroll down. And as you can see, because I haven't scrolled down yet, the Kenobi show is 18%. And guess what? That's second place. This blew my mind. This absolutely blew my mind. Not only is Ahsoka in last, but Kenobi's in second, and Andor is in third. 18, 15, 11. Now, it is close. It is very close. 18%, 15%, 11% are all very close. They're all within 7% of each other, but all within 4% of the next one. It's pretty close, I must say. But Ahsoka, only 11%? Only 11? What? Now, obviously, I understand that a lot of people who were going to vote for Ahsoka, because it's the only other one in the Mandoverse time period, voted for The Mandalorian. That makes sense. But Kenobi being over the other 2? Personally, in my own opinion, Kenobi is the bottom of this list. Not that it's bad, because it wasn't. There's a lot of good when it comes to the Kenobi show, especially the finale was fan-frickin-tastic. But the other 2 shows as a whole are leaps and bounds better than Kenobi. And this was just fascinating to me. So I wanted to share it with you guys because it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Mandalorian didn't blow my mind. I knew it was going to win. I didn't know if it would win by that much, but I knew it would win. What happens after blew my mind. In the comment section is like a battle zone. It's got over 500 comments, and it's a war. It's an absolute war down here. So if you want to go check out that war zone, feel free. It's on the community tab of the channel. It's insane. But it's bonkers. It's crazy. That blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind. I did not expect that at all. Ahsoka to be in last place, and by that much, was wild. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That was bonkers to me. Okay, let's talk about the Acolyte a little bit more. Then I want to switch gears to what George Lucas said over the weekend about Star Wars and some Andor Season 2 news. Okay, so let's talk about our last bit of Acolyte stuff here, and that is Neimoidians. Okay, so Neimoidians have been seen all throughout Star Wars. Actually, that's a big-ass lie. They've been seen all throughout the prequel era of Star Wars. From The Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith to the Clone Wars. We've seen Newt Gunray, the Viceroy, Newt Gunray, and the other dude. I'm blanking on his name. But they look like these two handsome fellas. You might remember them from saying, it's getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. Or maybe, where are the droidicas? Or maybe, who knows? These two. You guys know these guys? You guys know these guys? You know these guys? Newt Gunray right here, the handsome-looking motherfucker. So we have Neimoidians in the Acolyte show. This is an official shot from the Acolyte. Now, what's really interesting to me about this is we've talked about at length for months the Jedi, the Sith, the witches, all of these aspects of the Acolyte show we've talked about a shit ton. But when it comes to politics or the Senate or Coruscant, we haven't seen much of it at all in the trailers. What? The Trade Federation? What are we doing here? What does this mean? Why? How do they play into the story? And my question to you is this Newt Gunray? Is this just a young version of Newt Gunray, or is it different Neimoidians entirely? How does the Trade Federation, how do the Neimoidians play any role in this show? Where? How? That's the biggest thing, is we've been talking about how the Sith, how they could show up, how they might not show up, how the Acolytes of the Sith work, how the Jedi are around, how the Jedi are currently in this time period, how witches are involved. But never once, not a single time, have we talked about the politics of the galaxy or the Trade Federation or Neimoidians. But they're in the freaking trailers. Or at least they're not in the trailers, but they're in the advertisements for the show. This makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me either. Makes no sense to me either. I don't get it. That's the biggest thing about this Acolyte show. We've had trailer on trailer on trailer on trailer on trailer on trailer on trailer for weeks. And the amount of knowledge that we know about this Acolyte show is close to zero. It's probably closer to zero than it is to knowing everything. It's very, very close to nothing. How in the world does the Trade Federation have any part in this story? There's actually a better look at him here. Another look at him here. Now, this is probably a third one. Oh, no, it's the same one. Same hat. He's wearing the same hat right here. So this is another look at him here. There is so much mystery when it comes to this Acolyte show. People are worried about all these different trailers. We're going to know everything about this show before we even watch the show because they're releasing so many trailers. Nope, that's not a problem. Because when they release trailer after trailer after trailer about these characters of Master Soul, Indara, Kelnaka, witches, May, possible twin theory, we're like, okay, we might be getting somewhere here. We might know a lot about this show. Nope. Neimoidians. The Trade Federation. You think you know it? You think you know a show? You think you know a guy? You think you know a guy? They want us to be curious? Yeah, they do. But I don't see how any of this plays into the show. This really excites me, though. it gets me really excited because I don't know. I don't know at all. I can't even come up with a single theory that would involve the Trade Federation being involved with this freaking show. And that gets me hyped. Because that means there's so much mystery still after watching 1,000 trailers for this show that we have no idea what we are going into. We have no idea what's coming for us next week. No clue. We got a week until this show airs, 2-episode premiere, and we got not a single clue of what's going on in this show. Not a clue. So we could talk about it for hours and days and weeks and years, and still not have a clue of what's going on in this show because of the time period it takes place in, because of all this craziness that could happen. I don't know. It excites me, though. It gets me really, really, really excited. Because we just talked for an hour and a half, an hour and 30 minutes about Jedi, witches, Sith, oh my god, Sith, cool, Darth Zipperface, amazing, possible Plagueis and Tenebris references, very, very cool, connections to Legends and EU, awesome, connections to the prequel Jedi and how they fall down and how they really just collapsed on themselves, cool, sounds great, that show sounds amazing. Yeah, but we're also going to involve Neimoidians. The Trade Federation, you remember that from the prequel trilogy? That's going to be involved too. How? I don't know. So this is the most confusing thing I've seen all day. And I don't have answers. You come to me for answers, and I apologize because I have zero. Zip. Nada. I don't know. I'm excited, though. It gets me, for sure, excited. Mando United says, a good call, John. Oh, what did John say? Let's see. All right, so tell me what you think in the chat. Where the hell do the Trade Federation and the Neimoidians come into play when it comes to this freaking show? Let's see it. Where did I leave off here? Based on the 4 choices, my list goes the following. The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Andor, then Kenobi. Which is non-canon in my opinion. Okay. I love Ahsoka and Kenobi. The Mandalorians is my fave of all those shows, though. Nice. Okay. Hang on. Okay, take this with a grain of salt while you're watching, because you're talking about Resistance. Okay. Where are the droidicas? You're right. Nice. They are puppets for Palpatine. We do know that the Trade Federation does work for Palpatine in the prequel trilogy, but guess what? Palpatine's not born in the Acolyte show. He's not even alive yet. So how do they play any role in this? The Acolyte gets more and more mysterious. Yeah, it does. This show makes no sense to me. It has really become a mystery to me, too. I thought, like, the more and more we'd speculate, the more and more we dissect these trailers, we'd know stuff about this show going in. And we do know some things, obviously, like the Jedi are fearful of these witches, and it's possible that there's a twin theory going around here, and one of the twins becomes evil because of the Jedi who destroyed the witches, and she wants revenge. Like, we know that. We think we know that, at least. It's a possibility. And we've pieced it all together. But then they throw Neimoidians at us, and they're like, hey, you remember the Trade Federation? Yeah. You remember Newt Gunray? Yeah, of course. They're also in the Acolyte show. And we're like, what? How does that have anything to do with what we've seen? How does that have anything to do with what we've seen from these trailers? I don't know. Anthony says, Mike, have you noticed that in the Star Wars Eclipse trailer, it's strongly implied that the Trade Federation played a major role in the game's storytelling? Yes, that is true. So Star Wars Eclipse, which was supposed to take place before the prequel trilogy, which is still in active development, did have the Trade Federation involved as well. So maybe, just maybe, the Acolyte show will establish that, and then the Star Wars Eclipse video game will sort of back that up. Maybe the Trade Federation does have a big sort of thing going on here, but by the time of the prequel trilogy, the Trade Federation doesn't have much power at all. They're just the Trade Federation. That doesn't mean that they're a powerhouse in the galaxy. Yeah, I don't know. Things just keep getting more and more interesting when it comes to the Acolyte show. I agree with that. Navarro says they played a role in the Plagueis novel, but that's Legends. True. And that's way later, even still. The Plagueis novel doesn't take place until almost like right before the prequel trilogy starts. This is 100 years before that. All these layers get me so much more hyped too. Yeah, me too, Tiffany. Me too, for sure. Brandon says, it gets me more hyped about it, especially with the mystery of Darth Zipperface. There's so much mystery going on here. Not only Darth Zipperface, but everything. Everything about this show gets me excited. And that's why it's very hard for me to understand the people hating, or at least not even giving it a chance. You don't want to know the answers to these questions? That's my biggest thing. I don't get it. John Groom says the Trade Federation could be involved with the banking clan, who are the Muns. And we all know who the most famous Mun is, Darth Plagueis. That would be very cool. So to tie Plagueis into the show, they would have the politics side of the entire show be the banking clan with their sort of partnership or their involvement with the Trade Federation, which just happens to involve a nice Sith Lord by the name of Darth Plagueis. Now, no, it's not really a problem. The cool thing about that theory is we could see Plagueis in the light of day. He might be hiding in plain sight, just like Palpatine was, which would be really cool. Because Plagueis is a Mun, but he looks like a normal Mun, and he could just be hiding in plain sight. Imagine we got to see like a Senate hearing on Coruscant where we got to see Plagueis as a Mun of the banking clan, and he's not in a dark Sith robe or anything. He's just out in plain sight, and we're like, there's Darth Plagueis, found him. We were like trying to look for this hidden mysterious creature who's like hunched over in a cloak, and we're like, nope, he's right there, right in front of our faces. That would be pretty cool. I like that theory. Chris says Leslie Headland said that once you think you know what this show is about, you don't. You'll be peeling the onion throughout the entire season. Okay. Well, although that's really exciting to me, kind of frustrates me because I want to know. And I want to know now. But it does allow us to speculate week in and week out, which is really cool. Because once you think you know what's going on, you don't, which is cool. So maybe that's like, it starts off with the Jedi being the good guys. They try to save the witches, this, that. And then sort of we find out that that's not the case. There's something else going on. Yeah. We should not forget that it's a mystery. True, it's a murder mystery, and it's going to be a mystery the entire series. How big of a twist would it be if May's not even the villain? Like, she's not even the one killing Jedi. That would be too crazy, I think, personally. But it's, I mean, you never know. You never know. Yeah. B-Man says, how long will the episodes be? We really don't know. We probably won't know until, I'd guess, this weekend. It's usually when they get leaked out. It's like the weekend before the show comes out. So I would guess we don't know for a few more days at least if we ever find out. But I would hope that they're at least 45 a piece, 45 minutes to an hour. That'd be great, but I have no clue. Is that a Zepho? No, Cappy, it is not, but I get what you're saying with the big shape of his head. Yeah. Arctic Nemesis says, might as well add Cad Bane as well. Throw out all the bounty hunters in there as well. I know that was a joke, Arctic Nemesis, but how old is Cad Bane? I just love Cad Bane, so I'd be all of. How old is Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett? 71. Damn it. Okay. He can't be alive during the events of the Acolyte. But at least we tried. At least we tried. Sidious recruits Gunray in the Darth Plagueis novel. Yeah, that's true. And that's way later than the Acolyte show. Way later. No worries, Zap. I appreciate you. I wonder if they will play more into the role of the Trade Federation in the Acolyte. That's the thing. Like, this Acolyte show is a murder mystery. How is the politics or the political side of Star Wars going to be involved in that? How is the Trade Federation involved in that? I don't know. But it's going to be, because we got images of Neimoidians, of the Trade Federation, for the show. I don't know. It's craziness. It's craziness. And by the way, with almost 80 votes on our poll here, 81% of you are excited for that Acolyte show. And that's pretty awesome. That means only 19% of you are not. And I'm sure the 19% are probably not here anymore, as we've been talking about the Acolyte for an hour and a half. Yeah. We may learn that the Trade Federation may have a bigger role in the downfall of the Jedi than we thought. I mean, I'd be all down for that, because the Trade Federation's really cool in the prequel trilogy, and Newt Gunray's one of my faves. I'd be down for it. Yeah. I'd be down for it. I just scored my friend... Wait, what? Oh, Chris, well, good luck. Good luck, Chris. Did you hear my theory that Scooby-Doo might appear in the Five Nights at Freddy movies too? What? I have no idea what that means. Scooby-Doo in Five Nights at Freddy's? I don't know. Sure. Cole says, I'm going to be fair and give it a chance. There you go. Arctic Nemesis says, isn't the Mun tall, though? He seems to be human-sized. I'm talking about Darth Zipper. Yeah, no, Darth Zipper's definitely not Plagueis. No. That's out of the realm of possibility, because, yes, the Mun have really long faces, and they're really tall. So, no, yeah, it's definitely not him. Yeah. That'd be so crazy if May was not even the villain. I mean, obviously, that's probably not likely. She is the villain of the show, but it's... it would be insane. I'm hoping for some massive twists and turns like that in this show, but we'll see. We'll see. Fearless says, isn't the Galactic Republic era? Or is it the Galactic Republic era? This is still the High Republic era. It's the end of the High Republic era. So not yet. Is the Trade Federation in league with the Acolyte then? Ooh. Well, we do see the Trade Federation be in league with the Sith during the time of the prequels, as they're working with Palpatine. So would they be involved with the Sith now? With Plagueis or Tenebris? Could be. But I don't know. That's a good theory. I like it. John Frag, what's up? Says, hello, man. What's up?
Hello there.
Okay, we need to switch gears here, because we are already at almost an hour and 45, and we are running out of time. We need to switch gears to the George Lucas of it all. Okay? George Lucas, over the weekend, went to Cannes Film Festival. I believe it's just pronounced Cannes Film Festival, but I'm calling it Cannes. Cannes Film Festival, where he received an award. But more importantly, he talked about Star Wars, and he talked about the current state of Hollywood and movies in general. But let's talk about the George Lucas of it all, because this is news that we have to talk about. We touched upon it a little bit on Saturday's stream, but we got to talk about it too. What do I expect from Andor Season 2? Greatness. And we do have Andor Season 2 news to get to too, John, so we got to get to this George Lucas stuff too. But I expect a lot of good things from Andor Season 2, like possibly some Krennic stuff. We know we're going to see K2SO. We know it's probably going to be a great continuation of Season 1, but I think some pretty big twists and turns are coming as well, okay? Canes is pronounced Kun. I'm going with Canes, okay? And you guys just have to know what I'm talking about, okay? Okay. And if you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join that Discord. It's a lot of fun, a lot of cool, fun people in there. And if you're not yet a member on this channel, it's only 99 cents. That link is also in the description below. And we have the biggest giveaway on Thursday in channel history. On Thursday, which just happens to be my birthday. So in 2 days, we got a big live stream, biggest giveaway ever, and it's my birthday. So let's all be there for that. I just had to do that before I forgot. Okay, let's go to the George Lucas of it all. Let's go to the George Lucas of it all, okay? This is an article from Star Wars Newsnet. Let's read this. Okay. George Lucas drops the mic, not me, the actual physical microphone, the mic at Cannes I don't even care if I'm saying it wrong. Film Festival. Okay. George Lucas's biggest return to the public forum in years happened this weekend when he visited the south of France to receive the honorary. Oh no. I'm not even going to try. But on Saturday. And later stayed to watch the Formula One Grand Prix race. Nice. Fast cars. In a conversation on Friday, George Lucas dropped a bunch of pearls regarding the future of cinema and the Star Wars franchise, and pretty much everything that's going on in this entertainment industry. First, there's the question about representation in Star Wars and the pointing fingers at the fact that the original trilogy was mostly white men, which, I mean, come on. We don't even have to watch George Lucas defend himself because who cares? Then he goes on to talk about this, and this is pretty interesting. As it had to happen, the conversation eventually included the Disney-era Star Wars movies, which George Lucas had his own thoughts on, and this is what he had to say. So before I even read what he says, I've been absolutely disgusted about the Star Wars community over the weekend on how they have misquoted George, made him look like a bad guy in this scenario, made him look like he's saying something he didn't, and it's really just gross. So I made a video over the weekend about it and what he actually said fully. And if you guys saw that video, I appreciate you. But if not, we're going to read it anyway right now. And it was just gross. It was gross. I hate when people do that just for clicks, just misquote a guy, especially when it's the guy who created the whole damn thing, George Lucas. It's gross. So I hated it. But now we're going to talk about it in full today. So screw those people. All right, let's read it. I was the one who really knew what Star Wars was. Like, they literally took this quote alone and said, George Lucas is saying he's the only one who knows who Star Wars is. Anybody else who makes Star Wars is an idiot. Blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. Read the whole damn quote. I'm the one who actually knew this world because there's a lot to it. Nobody understood the Force when they started the other ones after I sold the company. A lot of ideas that were in the original movies sort of got lost, but that's the way it is. You give it up and you give it up. Some other people were just taking the quote until there, saying that George Lucas was really upset about how the new Star Wars lost all the meaning of the originals and blah, blah, blah. They twisted his words like crazy because he then goes on to say this. The new films have a lot of talent, great ideas, and production. I feel like they have come from my children, and sometimes it hurts a little when they grow up and get away from you. So what he's really saying here is obviously when you have kids and they grow up and go out of the house, they make their own decisions. And those decisions, sometimes you'll agree with, sometimes you won't, and sometimes you celebrate them, whatever. But they're coming from his children. And he's saying that obviously because of Kathleen Kennedy, who he put in charge, Dave Filoni, who's the apprentice of George Lucas, creating all the Star Wars content from Star Wars Rebels to Clone Wars Season 7 to The Mandalorian to Ahsoka to Tales of the Jedi to The Bad Batch to all of it. And it really feels like his children. George Lucas has even been on the set of some of these projects, from The Mandalorian to Ahsoka to Andor. He's been on the set. So to misconstrue the creator's words is absolutely insane to me. So read the whole full damn quote, because it means something more than what you actually stupid-ass people talk about. Not you guys, obviously, but people who misquote the guy. Okay. Let's keep reading. It's certainly an interesting choice of words. He's not quick to criticize the sequels, but simply laminates the fact that his ideas were abandoned along the way. He never comes out and says the sequels were bad. He never comes out and says that the new projects like The Mandalorian or any of the shows are bad. He never says any of that. What he says is, of course, a lot of his ideas were abandoned along the way. His sequel trilogy ideas that he pitched to Disney when he gave them the company weren't used, obviously. But the comments about them feeling like they came from his children are a bit puzzling. One would have thought that he meant Dave Filoni and perhaps even Jon Favreau to an extent, but neither one has made Star Wars feature films yet. Another one, more likely candidate, is probably Kathleen Kennedy. Well, he wasn't really talking about films specifically in this interview either. He was just talking about the current Star Wars in general. Then he goes on to talk about Oh, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. He goes on to talk about the first Star Wars movie and when it was released. And this is when he knew all of those. Okay, good. What's up, Salty? Your message didn't even get through, thank God, because I would have had to delete it. So, you gotta watch yourself in the chat here. Where was I? Damn it, not wrong. Not Newt Gunray, but George Lucas. So he's talking about when the first original Star Wars, A New Hope, came out, and how he found out, or how he realized that it was a great movie, or at least he realized it was going to be a huge hit. Okay, this is what he said. When it came out, people lined up around the block, and I said to Alan Ladd Jr., who was the producer at the time of, or the president at the time of the studios. Oh, that's what he says in the next line. Sorry, who was the president of the studio at the time? I said, look, all the science fiction films do well in the first week. That's just the way it is. Let's not worry about the lines around the block for the first week. They just like science fiction films. So then I went off to Hawaii to be on the beach with Steven Spielberg, and I just sat around making sandcastles and things. So let's pause there for a second. He goes to Hawaii after his movie drops with Steven Spielberg, and they're making sandcastles. Yes, it's still deleted because of what you said, Salty. Come on. But they're building sandcastles. What kind of sandcastles do you think are George Lucas and Steven Spielberg making? What's the first sandcastle you think that those two are making together? That's pretty funny to think about. But they go to Hawaii to celebrate it, and they don't really know how good the movie's actually going to be. And then some of my friends from the United States were calling me and saying, turn on Walter Cronkite tonight. Turn on the news. I turned it on, and he did a whole thing about what a phenomenon this movie was. And that's when I realized that this was going to be a phenomenon. So that's when George Lucas really realized that this movie was big. Real big. Vader's castle. He was building Vader's castle in the sand. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I believe. Did they not talk about that? He talks about the future of cinema and stuff, but I guess they didn't go into it in this article. But that's pretty cool. You get to see how he saw the first phenomenon of Star Wars happening. He was in Hawaii building sandcastles with Steven Spielberg, but also you get the full quote of what he actually said here, and how he feels that Star Wars now is being made by his own children, which is great. Fantastic. Sometimes he doesn't agree with it. It hurts a little bit when they grow up and get away from you, but it's still his children making the content, which he likes, which is cool. So now we have some Andor news as well. It's at the bottom, I think, of the article. Yeah, but they don't really give the whole quote there, but that's fine. I'm actually making a whole short about it right now, currently. That'll come out tonight, so yeah. So let's talk about some Andor Season 2. I feel like we haven't really talked Andor in a long, long time. I mean, a long time. Probably since Season 1 even came out, because there's been a lot of other Star Wars news involved, and there's a lot to talk about. Why do I go live every day? What's up? Why do I go live every day? Well, first of all, I don't. I go live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so only 3 times a week. But there's a lot of Star Wars news to talk about, and I like to talk about Star Wars, so that's kind of why. Yeah. But I appreciate you. Okay, let me catch up on some chats here, and then we'll dive into this Andor Season 2 news. Okay. Mike did not have French in school. I did not take French in school, no. I took Spanish, but I also could not speak Spanish either, so you're welcome. You're welcome. What if May is being framed by a shape-shifting, oh my God, like Zam Wessel, and turns out they're not even twins? I seriously doubt it, but it would be an insane twist. Is George Lucas actually coming back for Star Wars live-action series? I don't think he's coming back to do his own series now, but I think he's working on behind the scenes, helping out on sets. Yeah, he comes to set all the time. He probably gives his input here and there, but no, I don't think he's working on his own project per se. Super Gaming Jay, what's up, Jay? How we doing? No worries. No worries. John says, really cool things for Andor Season 2 would be like seeing Gideon working up for the ISB before he became Moff. That would be cool. And Thrawn's promotion to Grand Admiral. That would be cool too. Actually, no, that can't happen. maybe in the early half of the season, because by the end of the season, Thrawn's already gone. He's already jetted off to Peridia with Ezra Bridger. Andor meets Ahsoka when she's with Hera on a mission. That would be cool. Yeah, so Rebels takes place at the same time as Andor. So the early half of the second season could still maybe make us see a live-action Hera Syndulla, or maybe even Ahsoka, or maybe even Kanan Jarrus, or Ezra, or whomever. We could see the Rebels crew for sure. We know that the Rebel base on Tarkin 4, on Tarkin, not Tarkin. Whatever the hell it's called. What the hell's the base called? I know it's not Tarkin, that's for sure. What's the base called? The Rebel base in A New Hope? It's in Rogue One too. We know for a fact Yavin 4. Why did I say Tarkin? Yavin 4. Thanks a lot. I'm an idiot. My brain just broke there. Yavin 4. What I meant. We know that Yavin 4's base is going to be in Andor Season 2, which is really cool. We know that K2SO is going to be in Andor Season 2, which is really cool. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. And we see in Rogue One that the Ghost and Chopper are both on Yavin 4. So we could definitely see Hera Syndulla, maybe some other Rebels crew in live action in Andor Season 2, for sure. Anthony says, Mike, I still say it's too bad that George Lucas didn't list the highlights of Disney Star Wars content. Would have clarified what he validates and what he finds to be good. True, but I don't think he's probably under a contract where he can't say that. Yeah, there's no way he can come in and be like, this was good, this was bad. I don't think he can do that. He's probably under contract so that he can't do that. I would have liked him to maybe call out Dave Filoni and say he's doing a great job or whatever. That'd be cool, but, George is a man of few words. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Raffi says, who do I think is stronger? Who do I think would be stronger? A redeemed Ben Solo or Nightfall Vader? That's tough. A redeemed Ben Solo, so you're talking end of Rise of Skywalker, is currently in a Force dyad with Rey, and that's extremely powerful. He grew up training as a Jedi throughout his entire upbringing with Luke, so he's got probably just the same amount of training, if not more, than Anakin. But Anakin is fully tapped into the dark side, pretty much, at the time of being of Nightfall Anakin in Order 66. Are you talking about Nightfall Anakin during Revenge of the Sith, or Nightfall Anakin like we see in Ahsoka? Because if it's Ahsoka Anakin, it's Ahsoka Anakin, hands down. But if you're talking about Revenge of the Sith Anakin, I don't think he's nearly at Anakin's peak. So I'd say redeemed Ben Solo. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate you, Maria. Okay. Schnikes. Okay. Where was I? Actually, I remember Vader's castle in Dark Force Jedi Outcasts. It was green acid rain instead of volcanoes. I actually don't remember that. That's kind of cool, though. Andor, I'm pumped for that series. Okay, let's talk about Andor Season 2, because we do have some news about the character of Bix. Do you guys remember the character of Bix? Give me a 1 into the chat if you remember Bix. Give me a 2 if you're like, who? The what now? Who now? Who the what now? She's in the thumbnail of this video, if you didn't know. She's the third person, not George Lucas or May. You guys remember Bix? She was the friend of Cassian. She actually, by the end of the show, ends up leaving the planet with Cassian. Yeah, her name's Bix. True. All right, I see a bunch of ones. Okay, so Bix, the actress for Bix, she was talking about a possible spin-off series for her character. And this is where things kind of get interesting. Sonny, what's up? How we doing? What's up? How we doing? Andor, I forgot about it. It's been so long at this point. I know. It's been a while since we talked about Andor, but Andor Season 2 is actually coming up next year. So we got a lot to talk about when it comes to it. Yeah. A lot to talk about. Master Bleck says, I hope they recast Hera. What? Why? Hera should be shorter than Ahsoka? I mean, I guess, but that doesn't mean you have to recast her. I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead did a fantastic job as Hera Syndulla. I thought you said Biggs. No, Biggs is Luke Skywalker's friend from home on Tatooine. Bix, with an X, is from Andor. Yeah, Andor. Not Biggs, Bix. It does sound very similar, though. Biggs, as in really big, and Bix, as in Andor, Season 1 and Season 2. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this article first. Okay, here we go. Let's do this one first. Andor's Adria, I guess. Adria. We'll go with Adria. Adria Arjona, sure, is not yet interested in a spin-off series, but that's not really what she says here. Let's read it. Adria continues her press tour for her Netflix show Hitman, and while speaking with Variety, she once again got a few questions about the Andor show. Neither one was referred to her return as Bix in Season 2. Oh, okay. Though she did say that she is not yet ready for a big spin-off. She is still trying to make her name for herself in Hollywood, perhaps tying herself to one particular role in one franchise could be detrimental to that. So a lot of fans, or a lot of actors, I should say, find this to be a problem in Hollywood. When they become big as one specific character, it's hard to get other roles. And Adria does not want this to happen with her being the character of Bix in Star Wars. So this is what she says. I feel like a really big spin-off could be a later on in my career. I'm trying to give job security to myself in the future. I'm trying to elongate it. I got a tattoo of Bix. My makeup artist from the show did give me that in my trailer. So she has a tattoo of the character, or maybe of the character, or the name of the character. I don't know. She has a tattoo for the character on her body somewhere. That's how much she loved working on Star Wars and being this character. She's, of course, being tortured in this scene here. When she later got questioned about her parts pushing forward representation in Star Wars, as she explains, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we'll get to that in a second, but let's touch upon this for a quick sec. A spin-off series of Bix? Now, let me be clear. I like the character. It's a good character. She's a cool character in Season 1, and I don't know what her character looks like in Season 2. Maybe she has a bigger role in Season 2 because her role wasn't that big in Season 1. But Season 2 has to have this massive role for this character if she's going to get a spin-off show of her own. Because let's be honest, Andor, although it's a great show, is a spin-off of a spin-off. And if you're adding Bix's spin-off, you're getting a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off? What are we doing here? Andor's a spin-off of Rogue One, which is a spin-off of the original trilogy. Okay? And Bix is a very small character in that Andor show. Getting a spin-off of that is just throwing your money away. And although she might like the character, and although many fans might like the character, and again, we don't know what this character's going to look like in Season 2. She might be the main character of Season 2. We don't really know. But it's possible that a spin-off series is not going to go the way that we think. It's not going to be a good thing because it's a waste of money. The character's not nearly big enough, and there's so many other stories that we would way rather see before a big spin-off show. That's just idiotic. Stupid. She might like the character, but not that much. And honestly, I think Bix is going to die in Season 2. There's no way she comes out alive because she's not in Rogue One and she's not in the original trilogy. So she's probably going to die. Just like a lot of the first season characters do in Andor Season 1. She's probably going to die. But what do you guys think? A Bix spin-off show? Bix, a Star Wars story in theaters near you. Or even, I don't even know her last name. What's Bix's last name? Bix something. Coming to Disney Plus in April. I don't know. It sounds dumb to me, but please, if you're an avid Bix supporter, please tell me in the chat. I honestly don't even remember who Bix was. Exactly. So let's put up a poll. Why not? Let's pull this up because this poll has been up the entire stream. Her name is Bix Colleen. Nice. Sounds like Kathleen Kennedy name combined. Kathleen. Colleen. So, by the way, this poll that I just ended, which is almost 100 votes, says, are you excited for the Acolyte show? 77% of you are. The math is not mathing. But 22% of you are not, which is a little concerning. But that number just continues to grow as we go on here. All right, let's start up this poll because I gots to know. I gots to know. Do you want a Bix spin-off show? Yes or no? We're just gonna just leave it yes or no. Just yes or no. Jar Jar Binks. I'd watch a Jar Jar Bix. Jar Jar Bix. I'd watch a Jar Jar Binks spin-off show long before I watch this. Oh, Sonny with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, not over the Bad Batch still. So many unanswered questions like what happened to the clone uprising with Cody, Rex, Echo, Hauser, and where is Alina? Who the hell's Lena? I don't know, but I agree with you. I think we still need that Clone Rebellion show. And I think that might be the next animated show as well. I mean, they haven't announced the next animated show. I think August at D23 is when we're going to see the next animated show be announced. But yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a Clone Rebellion show, because if it's not, it's got to be something pretty big. Clone Rebellion, again, is a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off. Kind of. Because it's a spin-off of the Clone Wars, but also a spin-off of the Bad Batch, which is a spin-off of a spin-off. So even that is kind of getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If you want a big-time multi-season animated show, you're probably going to want to go with the Jedi Hidden Path, where you can involve that clone story and also involve the Jedi who survived Order 66, from Grogu, Kelleran Beck, to maybe even Jude Law's character, to maybe even Baylan Skoll, to maybe Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Voss, and all those. Or you're probably going to want to go to a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show where you involve all... Yeah, we do love the clones, and I understand that, but when you're looking at more of the broader audience, the more normie fans, you're going to want to please them all. You're not going to want to just have a very clone-centered... And I know the Bad Batch was a clone-centered show, and it was fantastic. And I'm not saying a Clone Rebellion show wouldn't be fantastic. I'm just saying I think there's bigger fish to fry in the Clone Wars animated series type. Yeah. But I appreciate it, Sonny. That's very, very generous. I really, really do. Biggs died in the Star Wars trench. Death Star trench. Yes, Biggs is a goner. Biggs is dead. That is true. Hera needs to be young. Oh, if they were going to put her in Andor Season 2, you're saying? Oh, I get you, Salty. You were just making a joke. I think Obi-Wan's wife did amazing. Yeah, no. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera was a great cast. But if they're going to do a younger version of her character, I wonder if they'll de-age her or if they'll recast her or whatever. Because she could be in Andor Season 2. Why not? Why not? John Frag says, for the Acolyte thing, which will you do how? What? Plo Koon becomes a member of the Jedi Council, or Plagueis, and learns how to manipulate the midichlorians. Well, that was not English, but I think I know what you're trying to say here. Plo Koon becomes a member of the Jedi Council. I could see that. I think that is Plo Koon in the trailer, and I'm really hoping it's Plo Koon in the trailer, because I'd have to be wrong again, which I don't like to be wrong. But Plagueis learning to manipulate midichlorians would be cool. I don't think he learns that until later down the line, but I'd be down for it. I don't want Sid to come back. Jack, we don't even mention her around here, okay? Okay? Sid's the worst. The worst. And I'm not talking about Sid from Toy Story either. Salty says, why would they give a spin-off show to Bix? It makes no sense to me. Exactly. It makes no sense to me either. And 80% of you right now on that poll say no. With only 15 votes. Nobody even wants to vote on the poll. It's so stupid. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, a big spin-off sounds like a waste of resources. Exactly. Yeah. Isn't there a theory that Bix is Andor's sister? I have heard that, because Andor at the beginning of the show is like looking for his sister or whatever, and he never finds her. And maybe even his sister comes into play in the second season. I don't know. I do have really high hopes for Andor Season 2, because the way it's formatted, it's another 12-episode season, which is cool. But every 3 episodes is another year, and it leads right into the beginning of Rogue One. So the first 3 episodes is right after Season 1, then the next 3 episodes is a year later, then a year later, then a year later, then a year later. So we could see a lot of stuff from Grand Admiral Thrawn in live action, which we've already seen in Ahsoka. Now they can do it again. To Rebels crew in live action. To more of Krennic. Bring back what's the actor who played Krennic in Rogue One? What the hell is his name? He was just in Marvel actually too, or he's been in Marvel for a while, I think. What's his name? Help me out, chat. Still, I want him to come back. That'd be awesome. Get him more involved with the story would be great. But also, I want to see Vader. And I know Vader can't come into contact with Andor because he'd absolutely destroy him in 2 seconds. But I want to see more of like a threat of the Empire. I know Andor Season 1 focused on a bunch of different characters, from Serial eating cereal for like 10 episodes for no reason at all with his mom. That was just stupid. I want to throw him completely out of the show. That'd be great. Fantastic. Replace him with Vader or Krennic or anybody else. Be great. But you have some other great stories with Andor's friend from home, his mom. That story was great. She's obviously dead now. But I want more of the Empire side of things. Just way more. I want live action Kanan Jarrus. Me too, Officer Murdoch. That would be fan-freaking-tastic. Maggie, what's up? Maggie's in the house. How we doing?
Hello there.
Ben Mendelsohn. Thank you, Brandon. Jeez, Ben Mendelsohn. I appreciate it. Fearless, I see you too. Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, we need him back as Krennic immediately. Immediately. Where was I? Wasn't there a theory that Bix was Andor's sister? I just read that. Nice, yes. There was. I don't know if it's true, but it could be. Could be. Actually, it's perfect for Kathleen Kennedy. Totally cringe-worthy and pointless. No, they don't do that anymore. Honestly, don't even remember who Bix was. Yeah, me too. Me too. Jack says, I want a big spinoff. Whoa, interesting. What's going on with this poll? This is not going the way that I thought. There's 26% of you guys that want a Bix spinoff show? What have we lost? What is going on? I'd rather see a spinoff of Cammy and Fixer at Tashi Station. Well, that's already in the book of Boba Fett. Yeah. Are you excited for the Acolyte? I'm beyond excited for the Acolyte. 1 week away. 1 week away. Who's Bix? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Maggie. Bix is from Andor. Andor. What happened to the Wedge series? I don't think there was ever actual backing to that. I mean, I've heard the theory or the rumor that there was going to be a Wedge series, but that doesn't seem likely anymore. I mean, maybe they would involve Wedge in some sort of way in what would have been Rangers of the New Republic, which isn't going to exist anymore either, so I really don't know. I don't know. The plot of Andor's sister just disappeared into nothing. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting point of the first arc of the episodes, like the first 3 or 4 episodes where he's looking for his sister, and then it kind of just goes away. You're right. But I actually think that wasn't in there for no reason. And actually, Tony Gilroy, I believe, said something about that too, that wasn't just going to be for nothing. Yeah, it could come into play. Maybe, what's her face? What's the main Empire girl from season 1? The blonde girl? Here's the thing. Andor's been so far that I don't even remember half these people's names. Maybe she's Andor's sister. Andor is a political type deal and less about the Skywalker storyline. True. It's less lightsabers and Force and more of the like political side of the rebellion, because you have Star Wars Rebels, which is all just action, fun, adventure stuff with the Rebels crew and the Ghost crew. But then you have Andor, which is more of the politics. It's more of the Senate and all with Mon Mothma on Coruscant. But we didn't really get a lot of that either. It is the political side of things, but we didn't see Palpatine in the Senate. We barely saw Bail Organa at all. If at all. Was Bail Organa? He's in Kenobi. Is he in Andor? We didn't get a lot of that. We should get more of that, I think. Yeah. Did you miss Cookhouse Fall Orders? Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Is anyone going to Star Wars Celebration next year? If so, I'll see you there. No, it's in Japan. Definitely not. But I will be covering it for sure. All the announcements and stuff. For sure. Need Kanan Jarrus in live action? I think it would please a lot of fans. If Andor Season 2 just had even one episode where he comes into contact with the Ghost Crew and we get live action Hera again, but younger, Sabine, Ezra, Kanan. Like, you have all the actors now. You have all of them. Why not? Why not? Great, Mike. You just spoiled Andor Season 2. What did I say? What did I say? I definitely didn't. Isn't it in Japan? Too expensive and too far away for me. Sorry. Yeah, it is far. Yeah. It is far. Deborah? Was that her name? I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Chopper? Chopper, yeah. Chopper has to be in there. Well, if we're going to Yavin 4 in Andor Season 2, I mean, why not? All right, I'm ending this poll. It's really turning sideways here. It's 60-40 right now, and I don't know how. 60-40 almost. You guys want a big show. That's that's crazy. That's way too small for a show, I think. It's just a waste. People won't want to watch it. It's not what we want. All right, so we went over all the Acolyte character descriptions on Instagram. That was cool. We still have no idea what's going on with these Nemoidians, the Trade Federation, and the Acolyte show. No clue. We got Jodie Turner-Smith explain to us that the witches in the Acolyte are going to be way bigger than we ever knew. They're going to be pretty much the opposing threat to the Jedi and start us down this whole entire conflict. And then we got some. Actually, this we didn't even get a chance to go over this, but we're way over time here. Andor Season 2 news, George Lucas stuff. This was an insane stream. Absolutely insane stream. Absolutely insane. Huge shout out to Sonny for the very generous $5 holla. Stay tuned for Thursday stream for the giveaway. That'll be the biggest thing we've done in a long, long time. Watch over that. And Acolyte's in 1 week. 1 week away. And I can't wait, and I'm sure you guys can't wait either. But I got to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not yet. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video in my pretty face. We'll show up in the recommended feed of yours. All right, let's see. How many likes we got on the stream anyway? Oh, okay. That's perfectly fine. All right, I got to get on out of here. I got to go. It's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. Jesus, it's one of our longest streams ever. 1 week. 1 week. That's it. Then we're going back to watch parties, prediction streams, breakdowns, all the fun stuff that we all love to do the most, okay? And we don't even have to wake up at 3 in the morning because it's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. Pacific Time. All right. I'll get out of here. I'll let you guys go. Bye. May the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate every last one of you. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.